everybody. We are back with a Ramp Careers Daily Update. Today, I'm joined by both co-founders, Mitch and Manoj. Fellas, how you doing?
Doing good, Danny. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Another Groundhog's Day week. Well, today we are going to talk about something super interesting. Will come up in every single sales interview. It's how to answer the question, why sales? So Mitch, Manoj, we were talking about this before, but Mitch, you had a good way to think about this from a high level. Do you want to break it down from the 10,000 foot view for our audience?
Yeah, definitely. I think that with any question you get during an interview, you should think about what's the question behind the question, right? Like, why is the interviewer asking me this? What are they actually trying to learn about me? What are they trying to vet out in their question? So when they ask you why sales, what they're trying to get out of that is they're trying to understand, is this person going to be a good hire? Are they going to stick with sales? Are they actually motivated to go into this profession? Or did they just randomly send me their resume in hopes that they could land their first job? So they want to understand that, is there some personal connection to sales? Is there some intrinsic motivator that is really driving you into the career? And all of this just so that they can kind of hedge their bets and make sure they get a good hire that's going to work out. From the perspective of the sales manager or the person who's interviewing you, they want to make sure that whoever they hire is going to stick with it. It's really, really expensive and costly for them to have to rehire over and over again if somebody doesn't work out in the sales career. So they want to make sure that you're motivated to the career. I think it's important to understand that backstory. That's going to help you shape your answer, which we can go into some examples here, but you should talk about, some personal stories that you have that can connect back to sales. You should demonstrate the qualities of a good salesperson through those stories. And maybe we can kind of just run down some list of maybe what some of the stories would be. What are some of the themes that a hiring manager wants to talk about? Let's jump into that, Danny.
Yeah, for sure. So some of the themes that I look for when I'm interviewing for a sales role, and I ask that question, why sales? And you're right. Like, I'm looking for, how do they interpret the sales role? How do they interpret a career in sales? I look for instances in their past where they've demonstrated a competitive nature. They've demonstrated an entrepreneurial spirit. They've demonstrated curiosity about individuals or other people or groups, or interacting with folks at a broad level. Are they money motivated? Do they want to control their own destiny? Do they like working in teams? Those are some of the things that I'm really paying attention to.
Exactly. And a lot of times what we hear when we're working with folks on these interviews is they say, oh, I don't have any sales experience. I've never cold called before. I've never gone to door, and I've never done door-to-door sales, or I've never worked in retail. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that you have to have quote unquote sales experience to be a good sales hire. And it's just not the case, right? So everybody can think of a time in their background, time in their past when they had some sort of experience in one of those themes that Danny just mentioned. Whether you played sports and you were, on a team and you were working to win a championship, right? Whether you were doing something entrepreneurial, whether actually selling or not, whether you are just extremely money motivated. Maybe you're always hustling as a kid to get money so that you could go buy candy or whatever it was. You can pull those stories out to show that sales is a career that's interesting for you and something that you want to do. I think that, as always, with any interview question, you need to frame it up so that the interviewer is, engaged in the story you're telling. So Manoj, can you just tell us a little bit about how we want to frame this up?
I think even before you think about framing it from your perspective, you're kind of diving a little bit deeper into why people are asking this question, right? Because they don't know anything about you. They're trying to get a baseline opinion of whether you know enough about what the job entails and whether you've done the tiniest bit of introspection to demonstrate that I've done a bit of thinking about what the job is about. I know what I'm expected to do. And here are some experiences, internal motivators, characteristics, qualities of myself that I am able to piece together. And I will tell you that, these are the reasons why I'd be good, when it comes to a sales career, right? That's all they're trying to figure out at this point. Most, early career jobs, you probably don't have relevant experience in the sense that you spend 2 years in sales. What if you have no sales experience, right? So that's really what you're trying to demonstrate. And so, all the themes that we talked about, competitiveness, coachability, curiosity, responding well to incentives, teamwork, all of that is good to the extent you're able to find one unique experience and some unique stories to demonstrate that those are the attributes that you have, right? So even quite simply put, all you need is a time, a date, and a place, right? If you just have those three elements, you automatically have a story. If you don't have those elements, it's not a story, it's a statement, right? You want to show them that you have those characteristics that successful salespeople have. You don't want to tell them, right? You don't want to tell them that I'm hardworking. You want to show them that you're hardworking. For example, I've taken multiple classes a semester while working full time, and I managed to do really well. It just means that you're hardworking. You don't have to say that, hey, I'm the most hardworking person, or I'm motivated by money, right? There's another way of saying it. You could say, hey, I've taken jobs where the more hours I put in, the better the incentives are for me. And that just gets me going. I enjoy that. I like the autonomy. I like financial freedom, right? That's another way of saying, I'm motivated by money. So that's really the way of, that's really how you should think about it, is put yourself in their shoes. They don't know anything about you. And all they want to know is, does this person know what they're expected to do? And have they put just a little bit of thought to say, I know what I'm expected to do, and here are 4 reasons why I think I would be up for the job. And that's all there is to it.
Let's dive into a couple examples here. Let's start with, what are some bad answers? What do folks not want to hear? And then we'll give everyone a couple of good answers. Danny, what you got?
Good question, Mitch. I would say the most common poor answer I hear, specifically when I ask why sales and I'm working for or at a startup, is I want sales because I just want to get a foot in the door at company X. I hate that answer. I hate it. It drives me crazy, and it's almost an instant disqualifier. And the reason I hate it is because I want to know that you want to be in sales because you want to sell. You want a career in sales, competitive, any of the themes we spoke about at the beginning. That's the reason you want to be in sales. You don't just want to be in sales as a step into a company and then want to transition right out. That's not a good look for a hiring manager. That's not reliable. That's not how hiring managers build teams. So scrap that one completely from your arsenal. Just don't use it. Don't say anything like that. Manoj, I knew you had you had another example, a poor example of how to answer that question. What do you think there?
Yeah, I mean, it's less so, I'd say, a very poor example, more so a commonly used answer that doesn't really tell you very much is, I hear this very often. Oh, I'm very outgoing, personable, and I love working with customers, and therefore I want to sell. First off, I don't think you need to be outgoing in order to make a good SDR or BDR or an AE. I don't think you need to be outgoing at all, actually. This is a job that requires focus and discipline. And hey, while it helps to be outgoing, that in and of itself doesn't make you conducive to a career in sales whatsoever. It just shows that you have a misconceived notion of, what a career in sales looks like, right? So it's less so a terrible answer. It's more so a canned answer that really doesn't help, at least, and maybe it's just me, and love to get feedback from others, but it doesn't let me understand you better as a candidate. And again, I hate when folks just use adjectives to describe themselves. So sharing stories and concrete examples with me. So any of those, like, I love working with customers, I'm outgoing, I'm friendly, I'm personable, good qualities to have, but it still hasn't answered the why are you interested in sales, because you've essentially put the onus on me to piece together based on the very little that you've told me as to why that would be good for a career in sales. What if I'm not a personable, what if I'm not a outgoing person and I'm the SDR manager? There's a lot of very successful VPs of sales that would not consider themselves extroverted, right? You don't want to sit in front of them and say, oh, I'm going to be great at sales because I'm outgoing. You don't know that, right? And so less of a bad answer, but more of a, you can do better.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Let's talk about some good answers here. Give a couple examples, and then we can chat about maybe what makes a good answer. I think that I'll use 2 that I've heard and that I've actually given in my own interviews in the past. Before we dive into this, I think it's important to caveat the fact that whenever you're giving any of these answers, remember the hiring manager, they don't know what's going to happen, 10 years down the road, right? They can't predict the future. You may not know what's going to happen 10 years down the road. So it's okay to paint a future that you want to happen or vision that you want to happen, but there's no magic ball out there. So don't feel like you have to have all the answers. One answer that I gave is, and it's the truth, and I think it works well in startup environment. It may not work well at a big company, but hey, look, let's say you're an entrepreneurial person. You say, hey, 5 to 10 years down the road, I want to be owning my own company, running my own company. I think that sales is a great place for me to start in my career, to learn how to generate value for a company. I want to get on the ground floor, learn everything I can over the next 5 years so that when I go to do it myself, I understand the ins and outs. And I think that at a startup that plays well because they know, upfront that you are hungry, you're motivated to learn. I would like that answer. At a bigger company, it may rub them the wrong way because they're typically looking for someone that's going to stay on longer term, and climb the ladder there. Another answer, going with the competitive theme, let's say you're an athlete in high school or in college, you can talk about, hey, let's say you ran track and field. You say, hey, I ran track and field throughout college, was on the varsity team there. I think track and field is as much an individual sport as it is a team sport. And I see sales the same way. We're all working towards a big company goal, but as an individual, I'm trying to get better and do better every single day. That's what I grew up with as an athlete. That's the type of working environment I want moving forward in my career. And I think sales fits that perfectly. So I think those are two good examples for a competitive person or an entrepreneur. What about maybe Danny, Manoj, you got a money focused one, or maybe a people person one? What's a good spin? Manoj, you gave a bad example for people. What's a good spin on it?
I mean, a couple ways thinking about it. Anything that has to do with solving problems, right? I think it will make you fit for sales, because it's less so pushing a product or service and more so I'm very good at listening to people's problems and coming up with solutions for it, right? And that's a skill that I've developed over the years, so that is something that I enjoy doing particularly well. It's a better way of saying, I will listen to you, I will understand what problems you're facing, and then I'll come up with a solution. And to me, that is selling. The way it's supposed to be done, that is how you should sell. So that's a good way of thinking about it. I do want to caveat this entire discussion by saying, I think we would have failed as three people trying to coach young professionals if we say, here are some sentences that you can use in an interview. I think it kind of defeats the purpose. And I worry a little bit that some folks may take it that way. The reality is that what you're good at. You're going to lose in the long run if you try to game the system or try to tell people what they want to hear. That's fundamentally what's wrong with the interview process, and that's fundamentally why people sometimes find themselves in jobs that are not best suited for. So I'd encourage, these are just ways that you can come up with communicating your personal story. That's a bridge that we can help cross, but we can't create a personal story for you where it doesn't exist, right? So you'll have to look deep within and truly ask yourself, do I enjoy, from what I know, what sales is all about? And from the years that I've lived and the things that I've done, are there stories that I can look to, make my own self comfortable that I'm going to be successful in this profession? Now, there's going to be pragmatic realities of life. You may have bills to pay. I get it. And if that's why you need to take a job, that's fine. Because some days I feel that way. When folks ask me for a question, I'm like, man, I got bills to pay. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Right? There's only 1,000 jobs out there. I'm fresh out of college. I got to start somewhere. And so that may be the case. The faster you can avoid that, or the better you can be a little more introspective, I think the faster you'll succeed, because inevitably you're going to get to a point in life where you're going to ask yourself this question. I just wish that I did ask this question to my own self a long time ago. So I'm going to kind of leave it at that and hope that people don't take notes and write down. Because I see this happening. I had a discussion today with one of our fellows, and I was kind of spitting out some of these, prepping, for an interview with them. And I see this person kind of writing down, taking notes. I'm like, what are you doing? This is just examples. I don't want you to write this and spit it out. Don't do that.
And echoing Manoj's sentiment and what I said at the beginning with themes, and Manoj's sentiment on there's no scripted answer that we're going to be able to deliver to you that's going to have the impact than if you created that story for yourself. If you really feel this way, a money motivated answer for sales could be, look, I frankly love the ability to control my own destiny. Sales offers me one of the only career paths outside of being an entrepreneur. I don't have a great business idea right now. Outside of that, where I'm in complete control of my own destiny. The effort I put in, the amount of work I put in translates directly to my personal bottom line. And that's something that you can be just transparent and honest with. That's why a lot of folks get into sales. It's super lucrative if you do a really good job. So don't be bashful. Don't be shy. It's okay to talk about it. Frankly, many hiring managers just want to hear that, right? They want to hear that you're motivated by money because they're going to have a commission plan that's going to be incentivizing to you. We did a lot on this topic. It's a super broad question. You're guaranteed to get it in every sales interview. And hopefully we provided some guidance on how to structure your thinking when you're going about answering it. So for Mitch and Manoj, this has been Danny with another Ramp Careers Daily Update. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.